Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for taking the time for listening to our presentation today. Can everyone hear me okay? Everyone, yeah? Okay, good. So it's a relatively new company, a pretty simple story, but I'll walk you through it. We can go through more detail if you like. Myself, I've been in mining for about 25 years. Started off with Barrick Gold, sort of Peter Monk's project financing guy for 7 years. So got to go to different locations of the world in Africa and South America. Joined Hudbay Minerals for a couple of years. That worked out really well. Torex Gold, building a mine down in Mexico for $800 million. North American Palladium, Golden Star with mines in Ghana. Then I was national mining guy for EY for about 3 years. And I was just looking for the right opportunity to come out and get back to the mining sector. And so, working with some great shareholders like Eric Sprott, I'll talk about, and being in Newfoundland is just a tremendous opportunity. So I'll go through it. Forward-looking statement and cautionary notes you can read sometime when you need to. So I'll just go through the highlights and then we'll go into more detail. So we've got a very large land package all around this company called Newfound Gold. Now, Newfound Gold was part of this Newfoundland gold rush that happened a couple of years ago. They hit a very significant find called the Keats Zone, and that grew their market capitalization up to about $1.5 billion. We were able to secure a lot of the land around Newfound Gold. So we were able to strategically be there, and it's great because I think we've got one of the largest and most strategic land positions in this gold rush that we currently have. We got a lot of different targets, strong management team. I'll go through each one individually, as well as our experienced and knowledgeable technical team. I think we've got a very excellent technical team, and I'll go through. We got Dr. David Groves, who's incredible. And actually, I call him the father of orogenic gold discovery. So we have a very systematic approach, and that means that we're following the science. And why are we doing that? It's because our land package is so large. We don't have just a small postage stamp where we just focus on that. We've got lots of different areas we need to triage and prioritize. And then we're well funded. We got $13 million in cash, no debt. About $9 million of that is hard dollars, and about $3 million is flow through. So here's just a snapshot of our capitalization. We've got 110 million of shares outstanding, 30 million warrants, 8 million options. As I mentioned, cash at 13, no debt. Eric owns about 20% of us. Great to have him on the team and supporting us, much like he has with Newfound Gold. And Newfound Gold himself owns 12% of us. So we've got some great founding shareholders and supporters. So we look back to last year. You can see this our stock chart. So we were trading roughly around 50, 60 cents, and then the gold rush kind of happened. Eric bought in at 50 cents. He bought in again at $1. The stock went to $1.50. It was just everyone, they got a drill. Everyone was very euphoric. Since then, sort of things have calmed down a bit. You can see, and then what we're seeing is a good base where we are now. So I think hopefully we're seeing another resurgence of that gold rush, and we've got lots of new targets that I'll talk about that's kind of hopefully going to be very interesting and a benefit for our shareholders. So here's our team. I already talked about myself. The newest member of our team is Ken. He just joined us 2 weeks ago. Tremendous individual. He used to work in McEwen Mining. He worked at large companies and mid-cap companies. He's used to running budgets about 15 million with about 40 or 50 staff. I posted that Ken joined us on LinkedIn. I got like 16,000 views and all these accolades of how great Ken is. So Ken's still on probation, but I think, oh my God. So, but anyway, I just spoke to him like 10 minutes ago. He's in Gander right now. And so I'm very happy we're able to attract quality people, much like Shanda. Shanda's in our audience today, our VP of Exploration. So it really takes a good team to develop average to good assets, as everyone knows. So I think we're well blessed here. We've got a very good board. I won't go through individual board members, but we've got everything covered from Siri with sustainability and ESG. Larry Short runs his own portfolio and has its own firm in Newfoundland. Bill Sheriff is well known, so just a great board and very supportive. And then our technical team, Dr. David Groves. He's a 79-year-old individual. He's written 500 research papers on mining. I call him the father of orogenic gold because actually I think he named the term back in 1992. And he's just a great individual. So when I first joined, we started having weekly meetings, and then he started doing presentations to our team. And he's actually part of our new exploration model. We call it Exploration 2.0. And we've developed this new way of doing things versus what we did last year with all the new information we have, all the new research, using a lot of what Goldspot's using as well. So Danny at Goldspot's been very supportive. Of course, he was behind Newfound Gold as well. And then we also have Peter McIntyre. Peter McIntyre is our consultant that covers us from Goldspot, but also he was a former VP of Exploration at Newfound Gold. So he ran the field teams. He was there for a couple of years. He knows the area like the back of his hand. So great with the kind of the top level brain trust, if you want to call it. And then we've got a local team, which I'm also very proud of, Nick Ryan. These are all local guys, grew up in the area. Happy to keep them on the island, and no, they're just great, and very happy to have them. Nick Rodway and Gary Lewis were also some of the founding people who staked the land around Newfound Gold. So it's really a very good cohesive team. So it's great when you got Dr. David Groves, and you've got Goldspot with all their high tech, and you've got the local team agreeing on which areas are more prosperous than other areas. So it's a really good thing to see. So anyway, let's get back to these megastructures I'm going to talk about. So what are they? Well, they're two tectonic plates, of course, coming together, and they stretch all the way from North Carolina to Finland. And it's some people akin it to the Abitibi region, early days of Abitibi. So can you imagine if 20 years from now we look back and we could say we were in the early days of Abitibi. So it's a tremendous opportunity to be in the area. We just started drilling. We did that last year, and it took. This is the history of timeline of the province of mining. Of course, you probably know about Voisey's Bay. There were some big companies in the province like Noranda and Rubicon, but not really focused on gold until this gold rush happened. So that was great to see, and it took Newfound a couple of years to find the Keats zone. We're hopeful we can do that faster based on our land package, but we're still early days for us. So just to orient yourself, this is the province, and the gray part is called the Exploits subzone, and that's why we're called Exploits Discovery. I thought about changing the name because I'm a big ESG guy, but it just geologically made sense, and the local guys love the name Exploits Discovery, and all of our land package is in red. You can see we have it to the north and the south. So if we go back to the early days of this staking rush, so this is the province again, and the blue portion is Newfound Gold, and we're in red. You can see not much else has been staked around the area. You fast forward a couple months, it's getting busier, and then you fast forward to today, you can see there's 30-plus exploration companies all the way around Newfound Gold, us, and Marathon as well, who just got their permitting license. So a tremendous opportunity for us because we've got this land that you can't get anymore. It's very strategically placed around Newfoundland. So I talked about the megastructures already, and these are some of the main faults. So the main fault that we're going to talk about is called the Appleton, and that's in the black right there, kind of going right between the Dog Bay line and the Grub line. And you also have the Valentine fault that crosses the Appleton to the north. So these are the main faults. They're deep-seated that are responsible for creating some of the gold discoveries that we've seen so far. So just to go through it shortly, what is orogenic gold? It's called the mountain building process. So you basically have the ocean's crust, and it starts getting compressed, creates pressure. The rock starts to liquefy. Rock starts to liquefy probably around 400, 450 degrees Celsius, expands to about 5-6%, and then you get these orogenic flows coming up that carry minerals and gold. And then when the pressure is released and the heat dissipates, gold starts precipitating some of the secondary structures that you see. So this is how, it's not in the main structures because too much pressure, it's in the secondary structures where we tend to see gold for orogenic deposits. Any questions on that? No? All good? Okay. So in some of the core, on the left you'll see Newfound Gold's core. You can see it's quartz, and then you have sort of this dark shale stylites in it with antimony and arsenopyrite. Same type of core that you see at Fosterville, or Fosterville model that's down in Australia. So it's interesting that, half a world away, and these major megastructures that you're seeing similar rock. And Fosterville is probably the most profitable mine in the world. and it's great that we're seeing the same type of core in the province. And just from a market cap perspective, our market cap, as I mentioned, is probably about $35 to $40 million, and Newfound's up around 1.5. We're hopeful that with a couple nice gold discoveries, we can join our bigger brother. Last year we started drilling, as I mentioned. We did about 13,000 meters on 5 targets. We also flew about 20,000 kilometers of VTEM and did some SGH soil samples. So that was a good starter program. And some of the targets we drilled were Schooner North and South. We did Little Joanna, we did Quinlan and Johnson's Pond. And so we've released Quinlan veins and Johnson's Pond so far, and we have yet to release Schooner and Little Joanna. The lab got really inundated, the local lab called Eastern. They had so many assays coming at them, and then they had COVID as well, so the staff really couldn't keep up with what was happening. So we had our assays delayed anywhere from 4 months to 8 months. So we're looking at solutions for the future if and when we start drilling again. But it made sense of what happened with this gold rush. So here's some of the targets, just a closer view. Since we haven't released some of the assays, I won't go through Schooner and Little Joanna, but we'll hopefully get those out in the next couple of weeks, if not within a month. But we're really excited about these 3 new targets that we have. These are all along this Appleton Fault, much like the Keats Zone that created Newfound Gold. If you look at Appleton North, which is on the very northern part, we had grab samples of 233 grams per ton, and also a bunch of other samples, about 20 gram per ton-ish. Deuter Lake is also looks very good, and Titan South. And all of these have these cross structures that are going through the main Appleton Fault. And if you look at the Keats Zone, the same thing happened with the Keats. You've got sort of this main Appleton Fault, and you have a cross structure, and then this Keats Zone was sort of, the rock was turned and twisted, and the gold precipitated into that Keats Zone. So each of these targets we have these cross faults. And actually, if you look at Titan South, you've got Valentine Lake Fault right going through the Appleton. So 2 major faults going through. It's probably unlikely there's gold right at those cross because there's too much pressure, as I mentioned before. But those secondary structures would be very interesting to look at. So we haven't decided to drill yet. We're doing a massive soil sample. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves. And once we get that soil sample done, we're going to assess what we drill and when we do it and so forth. But it's I don't know. I'm hopeful to make it a drilling decision in the next 2 months. Similar geology as well to what we see south of us with Newfound. Appleton North has evidence of shales and siltstone and grey-wacky. We also see the similar for Deuter. And Titan, you've got so much going on with Titan. It's very complex. So it'll be interesting to see more of the work and ground truthing that happens at Titan. We also have some other targets that we could talk about, but they're too early staged along the Appleton and around the Appleton. But yeah, it's really good that really like these 3 targets. And then we've got targets to the south, like True Grit. Historically, it's got lower grade, like 0.6 of a gram for 117 meters. So potentially, maybe there's a small open pit there, maybe low grade. But we're really focused on this high-grade orogenic deposits on the Appleton. And then we're going to look at maybe True Grit later on in the year. So just to summarize, we're well cashed up, $13 million, well supported, Eric's brought Newfound. We've got a great team. So we're doing really well, and I think I'm very happy to be here, and we've got a great land position. So anyway, thank you.
Well, have a few more minutes.
Sure.
Probably about 15 minutes
yeah.
for questions. Do we have any questions from the audience?
Thank you very much for your presentation. You spent quite a bit talking about reach and target, and that's always an important phase. It used to be non-conventional things, now that anymore. So pressure to see that approach. But it always takes quite a long time going from that to something that's actually defined. See, actually doing geotechnical soil sampling, things like that, which is providers some guidance based on some drilling and some of the sampling they've done, based on your experience and the fact that you've got quite an experienced team. What sort of timeline do you think you expect to actually come up with not just drillable targets, but that's something that we worked on to define these?
Something's feasible? Yeah.
Or at least the research.
Yeah. Well, you're right. Resource takes time. All right. So, well, the way we've approached this, and I appreciate the question because they really go into our Exploration 2.0 program. You know, we've created like 200 slides with Dr. David Groves and Goldspot, and we actually had a closed-door session in the province with some local geologists to kind of, you know, sign them up with NDAs to kind of say, this is what we're doing. This is how we're tackling our land position, right? Because and how do you triage and what do you look at? So we want to make sure that we weren't missing any key elements because when you talk to some of the government geologists who've been there for 40 years, they talk to every company, every driller, and so we want to make sure that we're having a very good approach for this year. And I kind of call it our founding document. It's something that's going to be updated yearly. But when you look at our target, so we did step back with David Groves, look at the whole region, right? And David will actually hand draw things on maps, right? And you've got guys doing GIS, you've got with Goldspot and a local team, and you've got Groves doing hand-drawn things. And when you look at some of all the data that we're getting in now, it did take a couple months to get this presentation of 200 pages, right? 200 slides. So so from there, I think we've got the right balance of a regional approach and targeting. Okay, so that's because you could waste a lot of time staying in this regional area, and then or you could actually spend too much time myopically focused on one area. You get married to these targets, right? So we want to make sure that we had a nice overview approach, and then we got very specific as to what targets made sense. So in this presentation, we have a matrix talking about probably, I think there's 14 key items that we look for in a target. And if it doesn't meet those 14 items, maybe 12 to 14, then we won't consider it a drill target, okay? Because drilling is expensive, right? And we want to make sure that we've got, and what do we need to get up to that 14, 15 item to check the box before we do it? So that's, so we've got, I don't know how to describe it, probably about 30 of these charts. And some are only got a couple check marks, right? And so where do you spend your money? Where do you allocate capital? And then, so we're going to focus on these three right now because we think, but we're not forgetting about the rest, if that makes sense. So we're almost kind of having not a bifurcation of our team, but we're going to keep people focused on the key targets, but we're also going to have people focused on areas, and then keep people focused on regional, if that makes sense. And then, so to get to your point about what's feasible, I really want to make sure we're doing the homework first. And because I joined in September, and some of the old targets that we've released so far didn't really have my name on them, if you know what I mean. These targets do. So I'm heavily invested in making sure these work out. So that's how we're going to approach it. So we're going to take time, but we're also not going to delay things. So we're going to find out what we need to do. We have the money to do it. We are attracting other geologists in the province that want to join us. I actually pay a little bit more than everyone else because I don't want turnover. So we want to make sure that if we start hitting something and it looks very interesting, I'm preparing for that world storm of like, okay, how many drills can you get? Can you get 3 drills? Can you get 4 drills? And can you get more geologists, right? How do you staff up? So I don't think money would be a problem then. We don't need money now, but that's going to be how we're approaching it. So that's kind of like the next 4 or 5 months. And I can't tell you if we get a resource, but I can tell you that I'm really happy about what we've done in the last couple of months with this founding document and how we approach it.
So in short, keeping one region focus, not one focus.
Yeah, that's right.
And you mentioned quite a bit of geochemistry. One of the great things about Canada is they have so much business. That something that you're adding in your program as well.
Oh yeah, geophysics. Oh yeah, we've got the same geophysicist, Brenda, at Goldspot that's helped out Newfound. And so my second day with the company back in September, I called up Brenda and I said, I know you can't tell us about what you're doing with other companies, but I know you can't ignore what's in your head when you see trends. So we have, every 2 weeks we have a call with them, with Brenda, going over our VTEM. We also had calls with Geotech, with Jean over there. And so just making sure we're tapping into all the people that are knowledgeable in the area and have our data. So yeah, we're definitely using geophysical and SGH. I mean, SGH has been good, but I think when we get after soil, we do soils, we'll probably use some trenching, right? And then we'll get more confidence as to where those drills are directionally placed, right? Yeah.
I have a question.
Sure. Yeah.
So one thing I found, what I really like looking at the companies in Newfoundland is, or in fact in Canada, is you have kind of a family of companies in the Yukon, you have a family of companies in the East Triangle, and they have family of companies in Newfoundland. And it's really cool because they all sort of work together. You kind of can go out and force as a presence to, pitch the area.
Yep.
And what's really cool is, you have Vinny, with the Gold Spot, there's also, Vinny, of course, is also with Newfound Gold.
Yep.
I guess, so my question is, how does, as an investor, I look at Newfoundland and I see the family of companies, but I only have so many dollars. Why would I choose to invest in Exploits versus another company in Newfoundland?
Yeah, it's a great question. And when you think about, this is not investment advice, but when you think about how you essentially invest in your family, if you like the region. So you've got Marathon, the near-term cash flow, right? And you've got Anaconda, who's actually producing now. And it depends on your risk profile. Like, I view this as a high beta situation. So if we find something, we could easily jump up to pick a number, $5, $10, whatever, right? And you can see, investors going from Newfound to us saying, okay, this is the next best thing. I've made money over here. Now I'm going to make money over here. But having said that, if you look at where we are, we're well cashed up. Our share price is roughly around, 34, 35 cents. Could we go down to 20 cents? We did, right? We bounced back up again. We almost doubled a couple weeks ago. We went from 25 to 45 cents. So there's going to be a little bit of volatility in there. But the downside, I think, is somewhat mitigated, right? We're not going to go bankrupt, right? Not under my watch, for sure. So you've got limited downside. You've got a high beta upside. So how you want to play that with how much money, it depends on your portfolio. Yeah, but if you wanted to so I'd probably tailor it to saying, okay, I want near-term cash flow, I want cash flow, I want near-term cash flow, I want a little bit of beta, so we might be the icing over here, and that you want to create some yield for your portfolio, and then you want to have maybe a mix of a few. Maybe it's a little bit of lab, or maybe Newfound is taken out like a Great Bear, or something like that could happen, or we could be taken out. So, but yeah.
And just remind me, what's Eric's ownership, and then how much cash do you have, and what's the insider ownership?
Yeah, sure. So Eric's got 20% of the company, and insiders have about 1%, and I've got about over 200,000 shares. I need to keep building my position, so I've been buying so I bought 50 cents, I bought at 40 cents, I bought at 23 cents. So I just need to continue to build up my position. And if we do a raise, then I'll participate in that, So, sorry, and you had another question.
Yeah, cash.
Oh, 13 million. Yeah, so you have 10 million of hard dollars and 3 million of flow through. Yeah. Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, Jeff.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.